Hey y'all, it's Kim, but this is the Senate torture report. Let me look at the actual name. I have to do it every single time. It's the report of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence Committee study of the Central Intelligence Agency's detention and interrogation program. And remember, after 9/11, many suspected terrorists were detained for extended periods and tortured, according to this report. So I think this one is going to be video 24. So anyway, with the issuance of with the issuance on August 1st, 2002, of a second OLC memorandum specific to Abu Zubaydah, the CIA initiated the use of its enhanced interrogation techniques. After the CIA subjected Abu Zubaydah and other detainees to the techniques, the CIA made increasingly stronger assertions about the effectiveness of the CIA's interrogation program, eventually asserting that the CIA interrogation program saved lives and that the use of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques was necessary, as the intelligence obtained could not have been acquired in any other way. Many of the representations made by the CIA about the effectiveness of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques were first made in the spring of 2003 and evolved over the course of the year and into early 2004. In April 2003, CIA officers told the CIA's Office of Inspector General that KSM, who had been subjected to the techniques between March 2003 and March 25th, 2003, was still not fully cooperative. For example, on April 3rd, 2003, more than a week after the CIA had discontinued the use of its enhanced interrogation techniques on KSM, the deputy chief of Alex Station, redacted, informed the OIG and KSM, or that KSM had made remarkable progress, but there was a lot more to be done. Redacted did not cite any specific intelligence obtained from KSM in this context. On June 27, 2003, more than 3 months after the CIA had ceased using its enhanced interrogation techniques against KSM, CTC Chief of Operations Redacted told the OIG that he was convinced that KSM knows more and is just waiting, waiting for us to ask the right questions. Redacted then provided two examples of information that KSM had provided until he was asked specifically about the matters by CIA interrogators. Information on the tallest building in California plot, also known as the Second Wave plot, and the inclusion of a building in Canary Wharf as a target in the plotting against Heathrow Airport. Asked if he could think of any instances in which information from CIA detainees had led to the arrest of a terrorist, Redacted stated only that Majid Khan provided information that led to the arrest of Ayman Faris by the FBI. This information was inaccurate as Majid Khan was not in CIA custody when he provided information on Ayman Faris. Redacted represented to the OIG that the CIA's interrogation program was very effective and that the intelligence obtained from CIA detainees was the main criteria for judging the success of the program, specifically intelligence that has allowed CTC to take other terrorists off the street and to prevent terrorist attacks. Redacted also told the OIG that the information obtained from CIA interrogations was information that CTC could not have gotten any other way. On June 26, 2003, President Bush issued a statement for the United Nations International Day in support of victims of torture. That statement, referenced in multiple news articles, relayed that the United States is committed to the worldwide elimination of torture, and we're leading this fight by example. I call on all governments to join with the United States and the community of law-abiding nations in prohibiting, investigating, and prosecuting all acts of torture and in undertaking to prevent other cruel and unusual punishment. The following day, after the Washington Post published an article on the administration's detainee policy, CIA Deputy General Counsel John Rizzo called John Bellinger, the legal advisor to the National Security Council. According to an email from Rizzo to other senior CIA officials, Rizzo called Bellinger to express our surprise and concern at some of the statements attributed to the administration in the piece, particularly the presidential statement on the UN International Day in support of victims of torture, as well as a quote from the Deputy White House Press Secretary Scott McClellan that all prisoners being held by the USG are being treated humanely. While Rizzo expressed the view that the presidential statement did not appear to contain anything we can't live with, Rizzo conveyed to senior CIA leaders that it might well be appropriate for us to seek written reaffirmation by some senior White House official that the agency's ongoing practices are to continue. On July 3rd, 2003, DCI George Tenet sent a memorandum to National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice seeking reaffirmation of the administration's support for the CIA's detention and interrogation policies and practices. The memorandum stated that the reaffirmation was sought because recent administration responses to inquiries and resulting media reporting about the administration's position have created the impression that these interrogation techniques are not used by U.S. personnel and are no longer approved as a policy matter. While the CIA was preparing to meet with the White House on the reaffirmation of the CIA interrogation program, CIA personnel provided additional inaccurate information about the effectiveness of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques to the OIG as well as to senior CIA leadership. These inaccurate representations describe the thwarting of specific plots and the capture of specific terrorists attributed to the interrogation of CIA detainees and the use of CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques. On July 16, 2003, Deputy Chief of Alex Station, redacted, was interviewed again by the OIG. In this interview, redacted asserted that KSM provided information that helped lead to the arrest of Ayman Faris, Uzair Paracha, Saul Al-Mari, Majid Khan, and Ammar al-Baluchi. These representations were also almost entirely inaccurate. Redacted also informed the OIG that information from CIA detainees provided a wealth of information about al-Qaeda plots, including a terrorist plot in Saudi Arabia against Israel, a plot against the U.S. consulate in Karachi, Pakistan, a plot against Heathrow Airport and Canary Wharf, a plot to derail trains, a plot against subways, a gas station plot, a plot against the tallest building in California, a plot against suspension bridges, and a plot to poison water supplies. Much of this information was inaccurate, according to OIG records. On the question of whether actual plots have been thwarted, redacted opined that since the operatives involved in many of the above plots had been arrested, CTC had, in effect, thwarted the operations. Redacted provided a list to the OIG of terrorists captured and the plots with which they were associated. None of the individuals listed by redacted were captured as a result of reporting from CIA detainees. During this same period, in 2003, CIA officers were compiling similar information for CIA leadership. On July 18, 2003, the chief of Alex Station, redacted, wrote an email to Alex Station officers requesting information on the value and impact of CIA detainee information on behalf of the CIA Renditions Group, or RDG, which he stated he was being compiled for senior CIA leadership. Redacted wrote that one way to assist now is to provide input to RDG on highlights of intel and ops reporting from the detainees. In particular, reporting that helped reveal or stop plots, reporting that clinched the identity of terrorist suspects, etc. The first portion of the response, compiled by Alex Station, was drafted by Deputy Chief of Alex Station Redacted, who wrote that CIA detainee reporting plays a key role in our ability to identify and capture Al Qaeda terrorists, including those who were planning to attack inside the United States. In an email, Redactor wrote that the ability of the detainees to identify many operatives previously unknown to us or to the FBI resulted in the successful capture and detention of several terrorists, and that the use of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques was key to acquiring this information on these operatives. As examples of operatives previously unknown to the CIA and the FBI and identified by CIA detainees, Redacted cited Jose Padilla, Binyam Mohammed Majid Khan, Ayman Faris, and Saif al-Rahman Paracha. These representations were inaccurate. Redacted email concluded, simply put, detainee information has saved countless American lives inside the U.S. and abroad. We believe that there is no doubt about Al Qaeda would have succeeded in launching additional attacks in the U.S. and that the information obtained from these detainees through the use of enhanced measures was key to unlocking this information. It is our assessment that if CIA loses the ability to interrogate and use enhanced measures in a responsible way, we will not be able to effectively prosecute this war. The information relayed from Alex Station to RDG in July 2003 for CIA leadership also included information from a CIA assessment entitled Significant Detainee Reporting. That document included information that was largely congruent with CIA records. It stated that KSM provided details on the Heathrow Airport plot and the Karachi plot only after being confronted with the capture of Khalid bin Atash and Ammar al-Baluchi. That with regard to plots inside the United States, KSM had only admitted to plots that had been abandoned or already disrupted. The KSM fabricated information in order to tell CIA interrogators what he thought they wanted to hear, and that KSM generally only provided information when boxed in by information already known to CIA debriefers. This information was not included in CIA representations to policymakers later that month. On July 29, 2003, as a result of DCI Tenet's July 3, 2003 request seeking reaffirmation of the CIA's detention and interrogation policies and practices, Tenet and CIA General Counsel Scott Mueller conducted a briefing for a subset of the National Security Council principles. According to a CIA memorandum, Mueller represented that CIA detainees subject to the use of enhancement techniques of one kind or another have produced significant intelligence information that had, in the view of CIA's professionals, saved lives. The CIA briefing provided the results of using the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques and briefing slides with the heading Results Major Threat Information or Info. The slides represented that KSM provided information on attack plans against U.S. Capitol, other landmarks, attacks against Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, against towers, subways, trains, reservoirs, Hebrew centers, nuclear power plants, and the Heathrow and Canary Wharf plot. The slides also represented that KSM identified Ayman Faris, and the Majid Khan family and Saif al-Rahman Paracha. These representations are largely inaccurate. The CIA slides represented that major threat information was obtained from the from the use of the CIA's, good grief, enhanced interrogation techniques on CIA detainee Abd al-Rahim al-Nashiri regarding U.S. Navy ships in the Straits of Hormuz. Yeah. This representation was inaccurate and omitted material fact. The CIA slides further indicated that major threat information was obtained from the use of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques against CIA detainee Ramzi bin al-Shib, specifically that bin al-Shib identified Hassawi and provided major threat information on attacks against nuclear power plants, Hebrew centers. This representation was inaccurate and omitted material facts. In the context of major threats that were countered and attacks averted, the CIA slides represented that major threat information was obtained from the use of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques against Khalid bin Attash on an attack against U.S. consulate in Karachi. This representation was inaccurate. The CIA slides further represented that major threat information was obtained from the use of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques on CIA detainee Abu Zubaydah, resulting in the identification of Jose Padilla, Richard Reed, as well as information on attacks on banks, subways, petroleum, and aircraft industries. These representations were inaccurate. The briefing slides, which contained additional inaccuracies detailed in Volume 2 of the committee study, were used at least in part for CIA briefings for Secretary of State Powell and Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld, as well as for Assistant Attorney General Jack Goldsmith. In subsequent interviews of CIA personnel, the OIG received information that contradicted other CIA representations about the CIA's detention and interrogation program. The chief of the I hate that redacted branch of the UBL group at CTC described at length how the arrests of Majid Khan and Ayman Faris were unrelated to reporting from CIA detainees. The deputy director for law enforcement for the FBI's counterterrorism division told the OIG how Uzair Paracha and FBI operational activities were ultimately responsible for the capture of Saif al-Rahman Paracha, the chief of targeting and special requirements for CTC's Al-Qaeda department and former chief of the Abu Zubaydah task force. Redacted told the OIG that the often cited example of Zubaydah identifying Padilla is not quite accurate. According to Redacted, not only did Abu Zubaydah not tell us who Padilla was, his information alone would never have led us to Padilla. Redacted stated that the Pakistanis had told the CIA about Jose Padilla and his partner prior to Abu Zubaydah providing any information on the pair, relaying, in essence, CTC got lucky. At the same time, however, CIA personnel provided inaccurate examples of the effectiveness of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques to the OIG. The deputy chief of the Al-Qaeda department of CTC told the OIG that KSM gave us Majid Khan and Uzair Paracha. Deputy DCI John McLaughlin told the OIG that information from KSM led to the capture of Majid Khan, which in turn led to the capture of Hambali. McLaughlin also represented that the capture of Richard Reed was a result of modus operandi information obtained from Abu Zubaydah. These representations were inaccurate. In addition to these specific inaccurate examples, CIA leadership made additional general claims to the OIG about the effectiveness of the CIA interrogation program, that highlighted the critical threat information that could only be acquired by using the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques against CIA detainees. Jose Rodriguez, then CTC director, told the CIA OIG that the use of EITs has saved lives and prevented terrorist operations from occurring. Deputy DCI McLaughlin told the OIG that he believes the use of EITs has proven critical to CIA's efforts in the war on terrorism. DDO Pavitt stated that the program was invaluable to U.S. national security, that American lives have been saved as a result of information received from detainees, and that the CIA has been able to obtain information that would not have been obtained without the use of EITs. According to OIG records, DCI Tennant stated he firmly believes that the interrogation program, and specifically the use of EITs, has saved many lives. Tennant added that the use of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques was extremely valuable in obtaining enormous amounts of critical threat information, and that he did not believe that the information could have been gained any other way. On January 2nd, 2004, CIA Inspector General John Helgerson provided a draft of the OIG special review entitled Counterterrorism Detention and Interrogation Program to senior CIA officials for comment. The draft special review, which was based on numerous interviews of CIA personnel as well as additional research by the OIG, described the origins of the CIA's detention and interrogation program, the detention sites that were operational at the time of the review, and the guidance that had been provided on both interrogation and detention. The draft also identified a number of unauthorized interrogation techniques that had been used, and concluded that in a number of cases, CIA interrogations went well beyond what was articulated in the written DOJ legal opinion of August 1st, 2002. The draft report repeated the inaccurate examples of the effectiveness of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques that have been conveyed by senior officers to OIG personnel, but nonetheless concluded with the capture of some of the operatives for the above mentioned plots, it is not clear whether these plots have been thwarted or if they remain viable or even if they were fabricated in the first place. This review did not uncover any evidence that the plots were imminent. After reviewing the draft special review, including the OIG's qualified conclusions about the effectiveness of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques, the CIA's CTC began preparing a highly critical response. In preparation for that response, redacted, CTC legal redacted, requested additional information that could be used as evidence for the effectiveness of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques from CTC personnel. Redacted sent an email seeking a list of specific plots that have been thwarted by the use of detainee reporting that we acquired following the use of enhanced techniques. Redacted noted that he would compile the information, emphasizing that hundreds of thousands of innocent lives have been saved as a result of our use of those techniques. In a separate email, Redacted emphasized that it was critical that the information establish direct links between the application of the enhanced interrogation techniques and the production of intelligence that directly enabled the saving of innocent lives. That the intelligence obtained after the use of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques be significantly different in nature from the intelligence acquired before the use of the enhanced techniques, and that the information be absolutely ironclad and demonstrably supported by cable citations, analytical pieces, or what have you. Excuse me. Redacted further noted that we can expect to need to present these data. Excuse me. Need to present these data to appropriately cleared personnel at the IG and on the Hill, to the Attorney General, and quite possibly to the President at some point, and they must be absolutely verifiable. He concluded, it is not an exaggeration to say that the future of the program and the consequent saving of innocent lives may depend substantially upon the input you provide. Now, I'm going to stop it here. I've got some other stuff I'm going to look at. I also want to look at the Jeffrey Epstein thing. I just don't understand it. But anyway, let me get off here. I'll see y'all in a little bit. See ya. Bye.